The 2018 E3 Game Critic Awards are in the books. More than a dozen awards were given out, including Best Console Game going to Insomniac's Spider-Man, Best RPG going to Kingdom Hearts 3, and Best of Show going to Capcom's remake of Resident Evil 2. In this video, I'm going to statistically explore the E3 Game Critic Awards, not just from this year, but over the last 20 years. I want to know, when everything is put together, which consoles and which publishers have the most awards to their name. I'll also drop some interesting trivia along the way, like which games have the most awards in E3 history. And by the end of this video, I'll declare an overall historical E3 winner, at least from a statistical point of view. Over the last 2 decades, well over 250 awards have been given out as part of the post-E3 Game Critic Awards. A committee of sorts, the Game Critic Awards are voted on by a membership of over 50 major gaming outlets from across the globe. Such sites as IGN, GameSpot, Giant Bomb, Mashable, Kinda Funny, and many others take part from a variety of countries. These outlets vote across a number of categories to give several awards in the days immediately following E3 each year. From a promotional standpoint, these awards create 2 kinds of winners. The first kind of winner is the direct or primary winner. These are the publishers of the winning games. But the second kind of winner is the trickle-down winner. These are the manufacturers of the consoles that had the winning games. For example, when Titanfall, published by EA, won Best Original Game at the 2013 E3, then EA obviously was a direct beneficiary of that award. But Microsoft, by virtue of housing the game as a console exclusive on its Xbox One, is also a winner, although in a more indirect and trickle-down way. But enough with the background, let's look at some real numbers from the last 20 years. I'm not going to show every single award category, but I will show some of the more interesting ones. And after that, I'll combine everything to look at the biggest award winners from a historical perspective. And I love role-playing games, so why not start there? Here are the top RPG award-winning publishers for the last 20 years of E3 award competitions. Several publishers were able to score single wins in the Best RPG category over the last 2 decades, but only 5 were able to score multiple wins. First, we have Square Enix, with 2 awards, including one for this year's Kingdom Hearts 3. Next, we have Infogrames and EA, with 3 awards each. And talking about Infogrames is interesting because that brings up Neverwinter Nights, a game that amazingly won the award for Best RPG 3 times, in 2000, 2001, and 2002. And beyond that, I say it's interesting because Infogrames was not the original publisher of Neverwinter Nights. At some point, they took over publishing duties from Interplay, and so if you're keeping notes at home, you could assign some of those wins to Interplay. Moving on, we have Microsoft Studios with 4 wins. Incredibly impressive, and it included back-to-back wins for Mass Effect 1 in 2006 and 2007, one of my all-time favorite games. But can you guess which publisher had the most awards in the RPG category? It's Bethesda, with 5 wins, meaning that Bethesda took nearly 25% of wins in this category over the last 2 decades. Massive. And they did it thanks to the Fallout and Elder Scrolls franchises, 2 of the most beloved game series in existence. So these publishers are the primary winners in the RPG award category. They get to reap the rewards by way of plastering E3 award stickers across their games. But what about the secondary trickle-down winners? Where did all of these award-winning RPGs land? First, 8 of the games landed on multiple systems, meaning they weren't in any way exclusive to any one platform. And please see the video description for how I define exclusivity in this analysis. Next, Sony's PlayStation systems only captured 1 of the games as an exclusive or quasi-exclusive. And the rest? Both PC and Microsoft Xbox systems had 6 award-winning RPGs apiece that primarily called their systems home. At first I was a little shocked at how many of these landed on Xbox systems, but between Mass Effect, Fable, and Jade Empire, you can see how Microsoft systems would quickly start to rack up these awards. Let's move on and take a look at another huge genre, racing games. and this one is going to be a little bit more one-sided. Again, as with the RPG awards, several publishers each scored one award-winning game in this category, including Nintendo, with an award in 2006 for Excite Truck. But 4 publishers had multiple winners, including Sony Interactive and Disney with 2. Microsoft Studios had an impressive 4 awards, but can you guess the big winner in this category? It's Electronic Arts, with a massive 9 award-winning racing games across the last 20 years. The Need for Speed franchise won 6 of those awards, and Burnout the other 3. Huge franchises. It seems like a long time ago since Need for Speed debuted on the 3DO. The game has certainly changed a lot since that 1994 debut. Let's see how these racing awards break down on the big platforms. Where did they all land? And who were the trickle-down winners? First, almost half of the racing games landed on multiple systems, and were not exclusive in any way. No surprise there, since Need for Speed always seems to be on just about everything with buttons. Next, Nintendo platforms scored 1, PC also scored 1, Microsoft systems scored 4, and Sony systems scored 5. But I think this might change in the years to come as Microsoft looks to have more of a grip on the racing genre. In fact, the last 3 years of racing awards have gone to the Forza franchise on Xbox platforms. And some interesting trivia here, that solitary PC win was for Motor City Online in 2000, a quasi Need for Speed game that's worth reading about. Now let's take a look at the Best Console Game Award. I love this one because it gives me a chance to mention Sega, one of 4 publishers that managed to win 1 award in this category over the last 2 decades. And if you're interested, Sega won this award in 2000 with Jet Grind Radio. Certainly a worthy title, and thanks to its cel-shaded graphics, it's one that still holds up to this day. Konami and Bethesda both published 2 games that would win the award, while Nintendo and Microsoft Studios have each published 4 games that won the Best Console Game Award. But the publisher with the most awards in this category? It's Sony Interactive with 5 of them. And until this year, it was a 3-way tie among Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, but Spider-Man broke the deadlock and gave Sony Interactive the edge. And looking at where these games landed, only 3 of them were multi-platform, while the rest were exclusive or quasi-exclusive. One game, Jet Grind Radio, obviously landed on the Dreamcast, a Sega platform. 5 games landed on Microsoft systems, another 5 landed on Nintendo systems, and an impressive 7 landed on Sony systems. And if you're wondering how Sony platforms captured 7 of the best console games when Sony Interactive only published 5 of them, that's because Konami's 2 award winners, Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, were exclusive to the PlayStation platform. Let's wrap up our look at individual awards by looking at the big one, perhaps the most coveted, Best of Show. And this award is unique in that it's not just limited to games. Hardware can also win. 5 publishers have each scored 1 Best of Show award over the last 2 decades. This includes Capcom's 2018 win with the Resident Evil 2 remake. Bethesda and 2K claim 2 of them. Sony Interactive and EA come in with 3 awards, and Nintendo has the most, 5 Best of Show awards. And interestingly, 3 out of Nintendo's 5 Best of Show awards are for hardware: the GameCube, the Wii, and the 3DS. The only other hardware winner in this category was in 2004, with Sony and the PSP. And now let's look at how these awards break down by platform. Now several of them landed on multiple systems and weren't exclusives. Microsoft platforms landed 1 game with the Best of Show award, while Sony platforms landed 3 of the Best of Show awardees, including the aforementioned PSP, while Nintendo platforms and the PC tied with 5 apiece. Notably, Nintendo Switch had back-to-back winners in 2016 and 17 with Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. The last time there was a back-to-back winner in this way was back in 2002 and 2003, when the PC was home to Doom 3 and then Half-Life 2. It is noteworthy that Microsoft Studios published a game that won Best of Show but landed exclusively on the PC. Freelancer, way back in 1999, before the Xbox platform had even come into existence. Now that we've explored some of the more interesting individual award categories, let's lump everything together, including the categories that I didn't show, so that we can see the overall distribution of those 250 plus awards over the last 20 years and see which companies have been the biggest winners in E3 history. And let's start with a look at individual consoles and see how many award-winning games landed on each specific system. And this list will only include those consoles that are home to at least 3 award winners over the last 20 years. It's not all that surprising that the Wii U finds itself at the bottom of this chart, considering how poorly the system sold. I couldn't be happier to see that the Dreamcast was home to 5 award winners, my personal favorite system. Next up we have the Wii, the PlayStation 1, the original Xbox, and the Xbox One, all with respectable numbers. And the Switch is already home to 9 award winners. Pretty impressive for such a newcomer. But maybe more impressive is that the GameCube was home to 10 award-winning games, a system that may have underperformed, but definitely over-delivered. The PlayStation 4 is already way up the chart with 11, and sits beside its older sibling, the PlayStation 3, while the PS2 sits just ahead with 12. The Xbox 360, another of my personal favorites, was home to a massive 17 award-winning games, and that's higher than any other console, because the winner here was the PC, home to more than 50 award-winning games over the last 20 years. And obviously this does not include awards in the best PC game category. And what about the rest of the awards? Well, more than 80 of them went to games that weren't in any way exclusive to any one particular platform. Now let's collapse these systems together and look at how many awards each platform manufacturer scored. This is that secondary trickle-down effect that I mentioned at the top of the video. Obviously PC doesn't change from the last graphic, with its 52 awards. And we know that Sega during this window of time only had the Dreamcast, so Sega pulls up the rear with 5 award winners. Next we make a big leap, and Nintendo comes in with 30 awards across the various Nintendo systems. Then Microsoft sits just ahead, with 32 awards spread across the 3 Xbox systems. And finally, we make another big jump, and see Sony with 42 award-winning games spread across the 4 PlayStation systems. Now let's go to the main event, the primary winners, publishers. First, a number of publishers, 12 of them, had 1 award-winning game apiece over the last 20 years. Possibly the most notable of these single-win publishers is Hello Games, with their 2014 award for the best original game with No Man's Sky, an award which set in motion a hype train, the likes of which hasn't been seen in many years. But let's focus on those publishers with at least 3 awards over the last 20 years. And indeed, several publishers had 3 awards, including Konami, who raked in awards in '98 and 2001 for Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2. Incredible games that caused a feeding frenzy in the press. A number of publishers had between 4 and 8 awards, including the once proud LucasArts, a publisher that won awards for Star Wars games among others. Moving along, Sega as a publisher has pulled in 8 awards, including the aforementioned award for Best Console Game in 2000 with Jet Grind Radio. And Sega is still going strong, as evidenced by winning a 2018 award for Total War: Three Kingdoms. Moving into the double-digit award territory, we have Valve, Bethesda, and Activision, all in close proximity to one another. I think it's worth mentioning that Valve had 3 awards in 2000 for Half-Life 2, including Best PC Game, Best Action Game, and Best of Show. Ubisoft and 2K both have 15 awards to their name. In 2014, 2K had 4 awards for their multiplayer game, Evolve. The game won Best Action Game, Best Console Game, Best Online Multiplayer, and Best of Show. Unfortunately, we know how that worked out in retrospect. The company also scored big in 2011 with Bioshock Infinite, scoring Best of Show, Best Action Adventure Game, Best Original Game, and Best PC Game. Now we've made it to the top 4, and with 22 award winners, in 4th place, it's Nintendo. And 6 of those 22 awards came from the aforementioned Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. Next up in 3rd place, with 24 games, it's Microsoft Studios. And one game stands out as particularly big for Microsoft Studios: Halo 2, a game that won Best Console Game in 2003, and then won the same award in 2004, along with Best Multiplayer and Best Action Game. And as mentioned earlier, they also scored Best RPG in 2006 and 2007 with Mass Effect. And that brings us to 2nd place. With 27 award winners over the last 20 years, it's Sony Interactive. As a publisher, Sony has had a number of games win multiple awards, but none bigger than The Last of Us in 2012. The game scored 4 awards, including Best Original Game, Best Action-Adventure Game, Best Console Game, and the coveted Best of Show. So by process of elimination, can you guess the #1 award-winning publisher? With a shocking 64 game awards, it's Electronic Arts. Love them or hate them, they produce a lot of games, and a lot of award-winning games. In fact, EA published 2 of the games with the most awards, including Titanfall, a game that absolutely dominated the awards in 2013. It won 6 of them, including Best Online Multiplayer, Best Original Game, Best Action Game, Best PC Game, Best Console Game, and the big one, Best of Show. And EA has had another big winner, Spore. But Spore's awards stretched over multiple shows, as the game was famously delayed more than once. Spore won 6 awards from 2005 to 2008, including Best PC Game 3 times, Best Original Game twice, and Best of Show in 2005. So with more than 60 awards, it's hard to argue that anybody won more than EA did. I don't particularly like EA, even though I grew up playing their sports games on the Genesis. But that was a far different EA. That was Trip Hawkins' company, and not the multi-billion-dollar machine that it's become. Still, results are results. So the biggest winners of 20 years of E3 are pretty clear, at least statistically speaking. It's all about EA from the publisher's point of view. That's the company that can sprinkle the most award-winning language across their promotional materials for their games. And as for that trickle-down secondary effect, it's all about the PC platform and Sony's PlayStation systems. Those are the platforms that have been most benefited by the residual effects of 2 decades of E3 Game Critic Awards. That's it for me. With any luck, this video was somewhat informative, and if you enjoyed it, you might want to check out some of my other videos and maybe throw me a subscription. I would massively appreciate it. There's plenty more to come on this channel, so until next time, all the best, and the sky is the limit.